I've been with Song Qingmu for 10 years. To help her smoothly inherit the family business, I've socialized with various wealthy women. She kept delaying the announcement of our relationship, saying she wanted to wait until her career was stable. But on her first day as CEO, she publicly announced that her childhood sweetheart was her fiancé and set a wedding date. That night, while trying to secure a big deal to celebrate her becoming CEO, I drank with a wealthy woman until I had a gastric hemorrhage. Then the woman's husband misunderstood the situation and had people beat me until I coughed up blood. I dragged myself there with a broken leg, bruised and swollen, to deliver the signed contract. Yet she allowed her childhood sweetheart to drive over my foot, casually saying, "Aiken just learned to drive and accidentally bumped into you. Don't take it to heart." The pain I had endured for so long erupted the moment Lin Shin drove over my foot. As I bent over in agony, Lin Shin innocently said, "Brother Ziming, why did you suddenly jump out?" At this moment, every cell in my body was screaming in pain. The contract I had been protecting in my arms fell to the ground, its clean white paper a stark contrast to my blood and dirt-stained clothes. Song Qingmu approached, picked up the contract, glanced through it a few times before putting it in her bag, and looked down at me saying, "Aiken just learned to drive. He accidentally bumped into you. Don't take it to heart." I was in too much pain to say a word, and reached out my hand to her, but she showed no intention of helping me up. Song Qingmu's presidential celebration party seemed to be ending, with more and more people walking out of the hall. "Isn't that President Song and her fiancé Lin Shin? Who's that man lying there?" "Fiancé? Lin Shin? What about me?" I tried hard to prop myself up on my arms, wanting to ask Song Qingmu what was going on. But my arms seemed to be fractured too, and I couldn't muster any strength. The murmurs of discussion around me continued. "Isn't that man the male model kept by CEO Song? Shoo, keep your voice down. Don't let anyone hear. It's only natural for rich people to hire male models. Was it Lin Shin's car that hit someone?" Hearing this, Song Qingmu finally reacted. She gestured for the bodyguards behind her to help me up, then addressed the crowd. "Lin Shin didn't hit him. He collapsed in front of the car on his own. The bodyguards lifted me up like a rag doll." I kept replaying the words "male model" in my mind, feeling a surge of bitterness. I had been in a relationship with Song Qingmu for 10 years. She had cried to me about her father's disregard for her, how he insisted on passing the family business to her brother despite his incompetence, and even tried to force her into a marriage with a divorced old man. My heart ached for her. After graduation, I came to help her, securing one deal after another, helping her gain her father's approval and establish her position in the Song family. But in the end, after all I had done, I still had no official status, and was even labeled as a male model, implying I was just serving her with my looks. What? Isn't that just publicly extorting money from someone? "You look so young, yet you're doing such despicable things." Song Qingmu's explanation just now made everyone start attacking me, and my consciousness was becoming increasingly blurred. Before passing out, I only heard the bodyguard supporting me shouting to Song Qingmu, "Miss Song, this guy has fainted." When I woke up, my nostrils were filled with the smell of disinfectant. My hands were wrapped in bandages, my feet in plaster casts, and even the slightest movement caused intense pain. It seemed those who beat me had shown no mercy. The doctor beside me realized I was awake and glanced at me. "You're awake. Contact a family member to pay the fees and take care of you. The men who brought you here left as soon as they dropped you off." I had no money on me. Song Qingmu grew up in a wealthy family, had seen plenty of scheming, and lacked a sense of security. To reassure her, I voluntarily gave her all my money, letting her control our household finances. But now, she wasn't even willing to pay my medical expenses. After the doctor left, I called Song Qingmu, hoping she could transfer some money from medical expenses. However, a man's voice answered on the other end. "Qingmu is taking a shower. If you have any business, contact her assistant." With that, he abruptly hung up the phone. The ambiguous words, along with last night's fiancé. A surge of anger rose in my heart, and I felt a sense of betrayal washing over me. Ignoring the young nurse's exclamation, I pulled out the 4-needle, grabbed the crutch by the bed, and limped towards the exit, desperate to rush to the Song residence and catch Song Qingmu's lover red-handed. After struggling to reach the Song residence, I opened the door only to find Song Qingmu sitting happily with my family. Lin Shin was saying something to my mother, making her beam with joy. I staggered forward, grabbed Lin Shin's arm, and snarled at Song Qingmu. "Song Qingmu, isn't Lin Shin supposed to be your cousin? How did he become your fiancé?" Before Song Qingmu could speak, my mother stood up first, raised her hand, and slapped me, then pulled Lin Shin back. "Su Ziming, what nonsense are you causing? For so many years, Mr. Song has given you a job, paid you wages, and even sent food and supplies to our family from time to time. Instead of being grateful, what madness are you displaying now?" A sweet, metallic taste of blood spread in my mouth. My mother had been a farmer for years and had extremely strong hands. My head was ringing from the slap, and I belatedly realized that Song Chingmu had never publicly announced our relationship. Song Chingmu didn't want to make it public, and I, as a man, respected her wishes. To my family, I had simply said I was working at Song's company. Now, this had become a knife stabbing into me. My younger brother also stood up with a frown, saying in confusion, "Brother, what are you doing? You're acting as if you and Sister Chingmu were dating. We should know our place with our family background." Song Chingmu sat nearby, sipping her tea in small mouthfuls, showing no intention of defending me. Instead, Lin Shun feigned magnanimity, saying, "Perhaps Chingmu has been too kind to him usually, causing him to misunderstand. Auntie, I'm fine." One mouth can't outspeak several mouths. I watched with a heavy heart as my family members all sided with Song Chingmu and Lin Shun. Song Chingmu finally spoke up, handing my mother a bright red invitation card. "Annie, next month is my wedding with Lin Shun. You're welcome to attend. Ziming has contributed a lot to the company. More than an employee, I see him as a brother, which makes you all like family to me." Song Chingmu's words delighted my mother so much she couldn't stop smiling, holding the invitation card close to her chest. She said with uncontrollable joy, "Oh my, General Manager Song, you're too kind. You've been such a blessing to our Ziming. His father passed away early, and I raised the two brothers alone. Life was incredibly hard before, but then we met you, and you've been so good to our family. We've finally been able to live a better life." I stared at the invitation card with bloodshot eyes, my chest heaving with anger. I had been in love with Song Chingmu for 10 years, caring for her, respecting her, and helping her rise to the position of CEO. But she betrayed me, turning around to marry another man. So what was I, Li Ziming, to her? Just a stepping stone on her path to success? A lapdog for Song Chingmu, the wealthy heiress? I stood to the side, leaning on my crutch, as endless hatred and regret spread through my chest. In the end, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. My laughter drew their attention. My brother looked at me with disgust, while my mother rushed over to try and cover my mouth. She awkwardly explained to Song Chingmu, "My son, he's probably just happy to hear that you're getting married, Miss Song." Song Chingmu looked at my comical appearance with one hand leaning on a crutch and the other wrapped in bandages hanging from my neck. I should also thank Ziming. Yesterday, he still helped me secure a big deal. With injuries like these, you should take paid leave for a while. Come to my wedding after you've recovered. I looked at Song Chingmu in disbelief. I had loved her for 10 years, only to end up being stabbed in the back. And now, she wanted me to attend her wedding. For any man, this was nothing but blatant humiliation. But when my mother heard paid leave, her eyes lit up. Ignoring my struggles, she had my broth. Or help me walk out. "Thank you, Miss Song. We'll definitely attend the wedding on time." I had no intention of attending Song Chingmu's wedding, but my mother threatened to hang herself at home to force me to go. She said, "Su Ziming, if you don't go after the CEO invited you, aren't you disrespecting her? Without CEO Song, where would our family be today? Or are you really interested in her? You're just a toad trying to eat swan meat." My brother was trying to stop my mother from finding a rope while also complaining, "Brother, are you trying to drive our whole family to death?" But they had no idea that our family's current comfortable life wasn't because of Song Chingmu at all, but because of the countless drinks I've had with rich women. I wanted to explain, but in their eyes, I only saw contempt and distrust. So I swallowed those words and weakly said, "I'll go." On the wedding day, I watched Song Chingmu walk towards Lin Shun on the stage in her white wedding dress. Lin Shun's place should have been mine. Suppressing the bitterness in my heart, I signaled my friend Lei to play the video I had prepared in advance. At this moment, what should have been a video of Song Chingmu and Lin Shun's romantic daily life turned into snippets of my time with Song Chingmu. The video contained photos of Song Chingmu and me from our college days, handwritten letters we exchanged, and records of various anniversaries we celebrated. As the video played, the audience erupted in confusion. "Who's that guy? He doesn't look like Lin Shen." I picked up the microphone, ready to explain everything to them. But as I spoke my first words, I realized the microphone wasn't working. I looked towards Ale, but he avoided my gaze. Meanwhile, Song Chingmu calmly raised her microphone and said, "I apologize to all the guests for this embarrassing situation. The man in the video, Xu Ziming, was my boyfriend in college, but we broke up later due to incompatibility. Out of consideration for our past relationship, I offered him a job at the Song Group after graduation. However, he didn't take his work seriously and only focused on seducing wealthy women. As you can see, his arm was broken by the husband of one of those wealthy women." As she spoke, a spotlight suddenly shone on me, so bright that I couldn't open my eyes. My heart sank heavily as I realized that Ali had betrayed me. At this moment, Song Chingmu continued relentlessly. "Today, Manager Li is also present here, and it was his wife who was harassed by Su Ziming. A pot-bellied man stood up from the audience section on the other side, pointing at me and cursing loudly. "It's you, pretty boy. I warned you last time. I'll beat you every time I see you. Yet you still dare to come and disrupt Song's wedding." Then, with a wave of his hand, several burly men came over and dragged me toward the exit. I struggled desperately. "Mom, brother, help me." But they turned away, as if they didn't know me at all. I was knocked to the ground by one of the burly men, followed by a barrage of fists pounding on my body and countless feet kicking me. I could only use my one remaining good arm to protect my head. When these burly men grew tired of beating me, one of them spat at me and cursed. "I hate pretty boys like you the most. You should really take a look in the mirror, you worthless dog. I spit on you. Let's go, let's go. It's a waste of energy to beat up this trash." I lay on the ground like a dead dog, while the wedding inside continued. I heard the officiant say, "The groom may now kiss the bride." My face was already wet with tears as I remembered our first kiss, when Song Qingmu covered her mouth and called me an idiot, asking how someone could cut another's lip while kissing. The wedding ended at some point, and I felt people constantly passing by me. I grabbed onto a familiar ankle, looked up to meet Song Qingmu's cold eyes, and using all my remaining strength, I hoarsely asked, "Why?" She crouched down, pried my hand off, and said indifferently, "I got bored of you." This time, without hesitation, I raised my hand, signaling for the people hidden in the shadows to come out. "My dear sister, how could you not invite your brother to your wedding?" The person hadn't yet emerged, but that infuriating voice had already crept into my ears. Upon seeing who it was, Song Qingmu's expression changed instantly. "Song Hung, aren't you supposed to be abroad?" Song Hung helped me up from the ground and said lazily to Song Qingmu, "When I heard you were getting married, I came back specially. Who is this handsome guy who suddenly appeared? He looks a bit like Mr. Song. I heard Mr. Song has a good-for-nothing brother. I bet it's him." Song Hang's appearance was eye-catching, and as soon as he showed up, he caused quite a stir. Song Qingmu's expression, however, was growing increasingly unpleasant. I watched her clutching the hem of her wedding dress tightly, as if suppressing some emotion. Lin Shan noticed something was wrong with her and said, "Qingmu, what's the matter?" She didn't answer Lin Shan, just bit her lip hard while glaring at Song Hung and me, before finally leaving with obvious reluctance. In the hospital, Song Hung looked at me and joked, "You've got a strong life force. If it were anyone else, they would have been beaten to death by now." My body and soul were riddled with wounds inflicted by Song Qingmu, leaving me no energy to joke with him. I sighed, "Song Hung, I've lost. I'll help you bring down Song Qingmu." Before Song Qingmu successfully inherited the family business, I had signed countless contracts for her. Among them, several were snatched from Song Hung. At that time, Song Hung had warned me, saying Song Qingmu was an illegitimate daughter who told nothing but lies and was extremely selfish. Back to Hen, I loved Song Qingmu deeply and dismissed it as Song Hang's deliberate smear campaign. In the end, Song Qingmu and I, after their father's death, forced Song Hung to leave the country. The day Song Hung left, I received a message from an unknown number. "Su Ziming, for not heeding my advice, you will lose terribly." And I, after glancing at the message, chose to delete it without hesitation. Looking back now, I was truly blinded by so-called love. Song Hung was indeed swift and decisive. On the day I was discharged from the hospital, I saw the news of Song Corporation's stock plummeting. The Song Corporation's business scope was extensive, with their main focus on the skincare and beauty industry. Recently, their beauty products were exposed to contain carcinogenic ingredients. Once the scandal broke out, Song Corporation's products faced massive boycotts. When I was still by Song Qingmu's side, I discovered that the raw materials used by the R&D department were suspicious. After reporting this to Song Qingmu, she merely brushed it off. Fearing she might be framed by people with ulterior motives, I specifically installed cameras in the laboratory, only to discover an unexpected scene. A young girl stood to the side with her head lowered. Song Qingmu repeatedly jabbed her finger at the girl's forehead, saying, "Everyone else can do it. Why can't you? Don't act high and mighty if you want to make money." Now, the girl from the video sat across from me, nervously twisting the hem of her clothes. "I've exposed Song Corporation's products as you requested, but will anyone come after me?" Song Hing smiled and pushed the passport and checked towards the girl. "Go abroad for a few months. You can come back after the storm has passed." Riding the wave of Song Corporation's scandal, Song Hung and I started a small company, directly competing with Song Qingmu's products. When Song Qingmu came to our company, Song Hung and I were just celebrating breaking a new online sales record. Wearing sunglasses, before she could clearly see our faces, she smiled and said, "Hello, I'm the CEO of Song Corporation. I'd like to discuss acquiring your company." Song Hung and I revealed our faces from behind the computer, and her expression immediately turned to disdain. "How is it you two?" She dismissively patted non-existent dust off the sofa. then pulled out a check from her bag. Fill in any amount. I want to acquire your company. Birds of a feather really do flock together. You two fleas have also gathered in one place. Song Qingmu's face was full of arrogance, as if she couldn't wait to trample Songheng and me under her feet. Recalling all she had done to me, I wanted nothing more than to rush forward and knock this ungrateful woman to the ground. Song Heng held me back, took the check, tore it in half, and threw it at Song Qingmu, mocking. Our temple is too small to accommodate such a grand boo. Die as yourself. You'd better leave. Humiliated, Song Qingmu glared at us resentfully and left with a threat. You'll regret this. The next day, when we arrived at the company, someone had thrown sewage at the entrance, and the door had been smashed with bricks. Nearby, red paint was sprayed with the words inferior products and garbage company. Without a doubt, this was all Song Qingmu's doing. But the more anxious people are, the more likely they are to make mistakes. She hadn't noticed the security camera clearly mounted in the upper right corner of the entrance. A video went viral online. It showed several men with buckets throwing something at the entrance of a small company, covering their noses and mouths tightly as they did so. There was also a man with red spray paint, writing something on the door. In the dim night, the faces of those men were indistinguishable, but one could clearly see the eye-catching license plate, 8888, as they drove away. Everyone in City A knows that this license plate belongs exclusively to the newly appointed CEO of the Song Corporation. However, the CEO is a woman, while the video showed several men. Enthusiastic netizens enhanced the video quality and ultimately discovered that the man with the red paint was none other than Lin Xian, the husband of Song Corporation CEO. I know this small company. It's a recently emerging skincare brand that offers affordable and effective products. Given Song Corporation's actions, it seems this small company has taken a bite out of their market share. But this kind of business warfare is too despicable. Recently, multiple Song Corporation skincare and cosmetic products were reported to contain carcinogenic substances. I certainly wouldn't dare to use them anymore. As a result, Song Corporation's already dismal stock prices plummeted even further. Song Corporation has yet to release a statement, while our company's products have been selling quite well. Before I could rejoice, my long-estranged brother called me. Brother, come home quickly. Mom fell from upstairs, and I don't know what to do. My brother's voice was filled with tears and helplessness. I rushed home immediately, but as soon as I arrived, a stick struck the back of my knee, causing me to half kneel on the ground in pain. Looking back, I saw my mother holding the stick, glaring at me and shouting, Su Ziming, how can you be so heartless? I heard from President Song that you've been maliciously slandering their company. Is that true? As she continued to berate me, she was about to strike again. I raised my hand to block the blow. From behind me, Song Qingmu's voice rang out, Su Ziming, I forgive you. Go back to the company. We'll be like before and send Song Heng abroad together. Enraged to the point where my veins were bulging, I snatched the wooden stick from my mother's hand and threw it in front of Song Qingmu, roaring. Enough, Song Qingmu. We've been in love for 10 years. I never asked for anything in return, but you can't treat me like this. Su Ziming, have you lost your mind? You dare to fight with your own mother and claim you've been in a relationship with Chairman Song for 10 years. I should really send you to a mental hospital. My mother bared her teeth and reached out to grab me, but I dodged her and was about to open the door to leave. But outside the door was my brother's face, followed by a punch landing on my face. My brother put tremendous force into that punch, making me dizzy and seeing stars. In my daze, I actually felt how pathetic I was. After giving so much, I ended up being betrayed by everyone, including my family. Downstairs, police sirens sounded. I held my head and laughed weakly. Song Qingmu panicked inside the house. My mother muttered, with so many people nearby, they can't be coming for us. Until the police came upstairs and stopped them, saying, Hello, we've received a report that there's a suspected fraud gang here. Please come with us. As the police escorted us downstairs, reporters emerged from all directions, continuously taking photos of us. Isn't that the CEO of Song Corporation? Why is he being taken away by the police? Quick, take pictures. Mr. Song, is that you? Could you please lift your head for a moment? Song Qingmu used his arms to firmly cover his face, not daring to reveal even the slightest bit. The police and reporters who had arrived were all arranged by me. Song Heng told me that this was all a scam, but considering the kindness of being raised by them, I still rushed back. I told Song Heng, if I don't return by 2 o'clock, call the police, and then contact reporters to come to the area below my house. I didn't want to be so decisive with my family originally. Unexpectedly, in the end, I still brought them all to the police station. Officer, I've said it many times, I was just disciplining my disobedient son. Why are you keeping us here? My mother repeated this sentence to the police over and over again, tirelessly. Song Qingmu sat in the corner, covering his face and anxiously making phone calls, while my brother pushed me, shouting, "Brother, go explain to them." I remained silent, watching as they displayed their ugly true nature. My mother finally realized she couldn't talk her way out of this. She stood to the side with her hands on her hips, fuming. When she noticed Song Qingmu still holding her phone, she walked over in 2 quick steps and pulled away the hand covering Song's face. Hey, officer. This is the CEO of Song Corporation. Do you know who you've brought in? Don't you believe that Song Corporation could shut down your little police station tomorrow? Song Qingmu's face was completely exposed. She desperately tried to break free from my mother's grip, but couldn't muster any strength. Finally, she tore away all pretense. "Let go of me, you old hag." My mother looked at Song Qingmu in astonishment. "What? Old hag?" Song Qingmu rubbed her reddened wrist and snarled viciously. "Shut your mouth. This is a police station, not a vegetable market. You really dare to say anything. You're absolutely ignorant." Given my mother's temperament, she couldn't tolerate any slight. Without hesitation, she rushed forward and slapped Song Qingmu across the face. As she was about to strike a second time, the police intervened and stopped her. She cursed at Song Qingmu. "I helped you lure your own son back home. I didn't get any benefit from it, and now I'm even in a police station. Yet you dare to insult me? Don't think you're so great just because you're a CEO. No matter how arrogant you are, you're still just a woman." Watching them fight like dogs, I found it all rather ridiculous. Song Qingmu stood up angrily, forgetting to cover her face, and pointed at my mother. You. Before she could finish, Song Hung arrived. Accompanying him was a highly respected elder from the Song family. "Grandmother, why are you here?" Song Qingmu's face was filled with panic. It was too late for her to try and hide her face now. "If I didn't come, the Song Corporation would be ruined in your hands." In the end, it was only after the elderly lady negotiated with the police that they agreed to release us. Before parting, the elderly Mrs. Song looked at me and said, "Su Ziming, it's my granddaughter who has let you down." My mother, hearing the tone of this conversation, quickly interjected, "Elder, what do you mean by that?" The elderly lady glanced at my mother and said calmly, "They've been in love for 10 years, and it was Su Ziming who helped Song Qingmu become the CEO. The elderly Mrs. Song had been living in a temple for years, and although she was far away, she was very clear about the matters between Song Qingmu and me, while my family, who were often by my side, remained blind and ignorant. My mother looked at me with a shocked expression, stammering, "Ziming, was everything you said before true?" My younger brother also chimed in, "Brother, I'm sorry. I even hit you today, but it was all too late." I ignored them and left with Song Hong. My mother rushed over, wanting to grab me, but seeing my cold gaze, she withdrew her hand. As soon as I got in the car, I opened my phone. The internet is now in chaos, with the video of Song Qingmu being taken away by the police reaching the top of trending searches. Netizens are eagerly discussing, "Isn't that the CEO of Song Corporation? How could he be taken away by the police? I bet this Song Corporation has made a lot of ill-gotten gains. They should replace him quickly. We reject managers with bad records." Song Qingmu, just as I could help you become CEO, I can also bring you down. Inside the Song residence, Song Qingmu and Lin Chen stood side by side in front of the old lady. Before the old lady could speak, Song Qingmu pointed at Lin Chen and scolded, "Grandmother, it's all because of this fool. He went to spray paint and throw feces at the entrance of Su Ziming's company. All of this was caused by him. I have nothing to do with it." Seeing Song Qingmu shifting the blame, Lin Chen also spoke recklessly. "Song Qingmu, you clearly told me to go and vandalize. What? You threw Su Ziming away like trash, and now you want to throw me away too, right? Enough, I'm not dead yet." The old lady angrily tapped her cane on the floor a few times, while Song Qingmu continued to curse under her breath. "Song Qingmu, you should step down as CEO and live a good life with Lin Chen." Hearing the old lady's words, Song Qingmu suddenly panicked. She fell to her knees at the old lady's feet, pleading, "Grandmother, please give me one more chance." The old lady pushed away her hand with her cane and said firmly, "This is not up for discussion." Then she left the hall. Song Hung became the new CEO, and I was given the position of general manager. On the day of the work handover, Song Qingmu behaved very strangely. She looked at me with emotional eyes, and when handing me the documents, she deliberately touched my hand. As she was leaving, she looked at me, her face full of pity. "Ziming, you worked so hard to help me become CEO. Are you really willing to just give it to someone else like this?" But now, having seen her true face, I coldly replied, "It's all based on ability. There's no question of willingness or unwillingness." Her eyes, once filled with emotion, now turned to resentment. She angrily stomped her foot and turned away. As soon as Song Hung became president, he merged the company we had previously opened into the group. Consumers noticed that the Song Group had introduced new products and changed its president. They began to be less resistant to the Song brand than before. The Song Group stock price was climbing daily. In the new quarter, our sales finally returned to normal levels. However, not long after, customers approached us complaining about breakouts all over their faces after using our products. I investigated all our supply sources one by one. Finally, I discovered the problem in an inconspicuous small subsidiary. During this time, more and more customers reported adverse reactions, and all the problematic products came from this company. When I checked the legal representative, I saw a familiar name, Lin Chun. I realized that Song Qingmu hadn't given up and was still hoping to take the president's position. After staking out near that subsidiary for a few days, I finally managed to sneak into the processing plant by following their staff. The production environment was filthy and disorganized, with absolutely no quality assurance. Packaging boxes were scattered randomly on the floor, with cockroach. He's crawling over them. Inside, I saw Song Qingmu, whom I hadn't seen for a long time. She appeared to be pregnant, her large belly protruding as she scolded the people packaging skincare products. "Why are you throwing away that box?" "Boss, this box has some mold on the outside," the person explained. "Just wipe the mold off with a cloth. Don't you know about saving costs?" Song Qingmu was still the same as before, a greedy and unscrupulous businesswoman. I hid in the shadows, recording everything with my phone, then called 12315 to report this place. Soon, professional personnel arrived at the scene. Amidst the chaos, I left the factory. I was fortunate to witness Lin Chun being personally escorted away by the police. He struggled desperately, howling, "Officer, I don't know anything. I may be the legal representative, but I'm not in charge. It's all my wife who manages everything. She's right there, the one with the big belly." In the distance, Song Qingmu was walking over with her bag when she encountered this scene. Instinctively, she turned to run away, but accidentally tripped over a stone at her feet. She fell to the ground, blood covering her lower body, and cried in panic. "Someone help me. Please help me." After the two police officers stuffed Lin Chun into the police car, they quickly ran over to help Song Qingmu into the car as well. As if guided by some supernatural force, I followed them. This fall caused Song Qingmu to miscarry. She sat on the hospital bed, her face pale and lifeless. Out of humanitarian concern, the police brought Lin Chun along too. They had hoped Lin Chun would comfort Song Qingmu, but as soon as he entered the hospital room, he grabbed Song Qingmu by the throat and raved, "You bitch, you tricked me into being the legal representative of the company, so I'd take the blame when things went wrong, didn't you?" He was extremely agitated, veins bulging on his face, while Song Qingmu kept slapping at his hands to no avail as she was being strangled. It wasn't until the police rushed over and pulled him away that Song Qingmu was finally able to breathe again. As he was being dragged to the doorway of the hospital room, Lin Chun was still hurling insults inside. "Song Qingmu, I must have been blind to marry a woman like you." After Lin Chun was taken away, two female police officers were left to guard the door of Song Qingmu's hospital room. After speaking with them, I entered Song Qingmu's room. Seeing it was me, Song Qingmu's paper-white face managed a weak smile. "Are you satisfied seeing me in such a miserable state?" I looked down at her and said, "Song Qingmu, if you hadn't cheated, you would still be the CEO of Song Corporation, and I would have helped you make it bigger and stronger. But unfortunately, you took the wrong path." A flicker of regret passed through Song Qingmu's eyes. There was nothing more to say, so I turned and left the room. I had someone expose the conditions of the subsidiary's processing plant, revoked their business rights, provided high compensation to all customers with skin damage, and offered a 50% discount on all products as an apology. This storm at the Song Corporation had finally passed, but things weren't going well for Song Qingmu. In the video, she arrogantly ordered workers to use moldy packaging, which sparked public outrage. Moldy substances can cause cancer. She's absolutely an unethical business owner. I see she's even pregnant. Couldn't she build up some good karma? Doesn't she fear karma for doing so many bad things? That's the former female CEO of Song Corporation. After stepping down from the major company, she went to mess around at a small company. Basically, she treats consumers like dirt. I know her. She bullied me in high school. Amid the clamor of discussions, someone suddenly emerged claiming to be Song Qingmu's high school classmate, immediately drawing the attention of others. Before the bullying incident could be verified, Song Qingmu's subsidiary company went bankrupt first, and there were also huge financial discrepancies. It seems Lin Chun's prison sentence is now inevitable. One night, I suddenly received a call from Song Qingmu. She pleaded, "Ziming, can you help me suppress the news about me?" Her words were vague, so I spoke directly. "About the company matter? That's impossible. Not that one." Suddenly, I realized this was about the bullying incident, and I became aware that Song Qingmu had indeed bullied someone before. Song Heng's words were proven right once again. Song Qingmu was just an illegitimate daughter full of lies, extremely selfish. Yet during our 10 years together, the side she showed me was always gentle, generous, and understanding. I'm sorry, but we have no relationship anymore. I hung up without hesitation and blocked her. The person who claimed to be bullied posted a long article with accompanying videos. As it turned out, she was Song Qingmu's best friend before Song Qingmu was acknowledged by the Song family. But after being accepted by the Song family, Qingmu worried that this closest friend would tell others about her background, so she chose to lead others in isolating and bullying her. The video showed a conversation between Song Qingmu and her. She asked, "Qingmu, why are you treating me like this?" Song Qingmu coldly replied, "There is no why, I just don't like the sight of you." Then came the sound of gurgling water, as Song Qingmu pushed the girl's head into a water-filled basin. In addition, the girl listed in detail other things Song Qingmu had done to her in a long post, falsely accusing her of being a thief, placing thumbtacks on her chair, splashing red ink. Once this post was published, there was a wave of criticism against Song Qingmu online. The Song family immediately announced they were cutting ties with Song Qingmu. Unable to pay her medical bills, Song Qingmu was also kicked out of the hospital. She dragged her unhealed body to face the court's investigation. Lin Chun, like a mad dog, accused Song Qingmu of selling substandard products, tax evasion, and illegal business operations. In the end, Lin Chun, as the legal representative, was sentenced to 20 years in prison. As for Song Qingmu's case, there was no evidence, only Lin Chun's verbal accusations. She was only given a warning and education before being released. However, when the branch company suddenly went bankrupt, owing a large sum of money, Lin Chun, as the legal representative, went to prison. As Lin Chun's wife, Song Qingmu then became responsible for these debts. She sold her jewelry, handbags, and even the house she had secretly bought while still with the Song family, but still had half the debt left to pay off. Some of the loans were high interest, and debt collectors would intimidate her daily by lurking outside her rented apartment. Once, while being chased by debt collectors, she ran into the middle of the road in panic. A large truck came rushing towards her, and then she was hit and thrown, lying like a rag doll in the middle of the road. The debt collectors took advantage of this and broke into her rented apartment, looting everything inside. Meanwhile, Song Hung and I were developing the Song Corporation better and better, even expanding our business overseas. Song Hung successfully passed the probation period set by the Song family elders, and I also got promoted with a salary increase, buying my own house outside. One day after work, my long-unseen mother came stumbling towards me, crying with snot and tears. "My son, something terrible has happened at home. You can't ignore it." I coldly pushed her away and said distantly, "Mom, this is the last time I'll call you that. Ever since you helped Song Qingmu deceive me last time, I no longer have any connection with this family. I will transfer alimony to your card every month as required by law. Please, don't come looking for me anymore. Ziming, your brother has gotten into gambling and owes a large sum of money. You can't ignore this." As she spoke, my mother was about to kneel before me. I signaled with my eyes to the security guards standing at the door, and they quickly rushed forward to support my mother. I said to them, "This old lady can't find her way home. Please take her to the police station." After saying this, I left without looking back. My phone sent an itinerary reminder. Tomorrow, I'll be flying abroad to develop new overseas markets for a period of 3 years. If all goes well, I will settle abroad permanently, never to return,